Hey guys, I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Hero and Airsoft Team Kilo23. Today we're going to go inside the M14 Socom, also known as the M14 Special Ops. We'll check out the gearbox, hop-up, motor, all that good stuff that makes this gun tick. Now, I've never been a fan of working on Marui style M14s before. They've always been a pain, a lot of small parts, and a lot of things can go wrong. Now, I have worked on quite a few, so I do have some good experience with these. Out of the box, this gun seemed pretty well tuned considering. Now, let's check out the hop-up and the gearbox and motor. The hop-up chamber itself was pretty damaged when I got it out of this gun. It was really beat up. I'm not sure if the company installed it this way or what, but it is not in good condition. I was really amazed it was doing as well as it did when I was testing it out. See, a part's broken off here, a pretty large part, so that could be a feeding problem there, or it could be an FPS issue later on. And this little piece right here, God, I'm amazed it was actually feeding at all with that broken off there. But aside from all that, you can see the gun has an H-style bucking, so that can help improve accuracy. Now let's move on from the hop-up, which was in pretty poor condition. We can move on to the motor and check that out real quick. The motor itself is a generic Chinese motor. It doesn't have any labels or brand stickers on it or anything. As you can see here, the wiring is soldered straight onto the motor pins there. I'm not really a fan of this. It doesn't really help with the heat up and cool down, and it can actually damage your motor. Now also, when you're working with putting the wiring in your stock and stuff, the motor pin can actually break with the wiring still on it like this. It's more so when it's soldered on like this, so it can be a problem later on. I really recommend putting some motor pins on this thing, just so you can work with it a little more easily. As you can see here, the gun is marked CM, number, yada yada, so it is in fact a CYMA style gun. But aside from the poor condition of the hop-up chamber and a few downsides on the motor, it does have pretty good wiring. It does have some pretty thick coating on it, so it's not going to get beat up or torn or crimped or anything. Now with the gearbox open, we can go ahead and check out everything. You can see that the inside and outside of the gearbox are black. Now, I've never had that before on an M14 or any other gun, except for a Garter and things like that. Usually the outside is painted black and the inside is just the usual gray-silver. You can look at the spring and spring guide first. The spring is about an M90, M100 power. Looks alright. The spring guide is just the usual plastic. Has a little metal washer at the end. No bearings, of course. The nozzle is just a regular old plastic. Had a little crack in the end of it, so I wonder if this thing was like dropped or something during shipping. That might have been responsible for all this stuff happening, so I really don't know. Had a little bit of damage in there. That's never good for an airsoft gun that's stock. Tappet plate looks okay. I'm sure it'll do just fine for a while. Cylinder head's pretty tight inside the cylinder, getting a good air seal there. The cylinder head is plastic, has one O-ring, does its job pretty well. Now, something I was a little concerned about is the cylinder compression. This is not very good in general, so that could be part of why the FPS is around 330, 340. Guns like this, with this style spring and these kinds of internals, I've been able to get them to shoot upwards of 400 feet per second. So a 330, 340 FPS, there's a pretty good air leak in here. The piston head is the standard CYMA type, where it's got the concave in there. It is ported, screws into the front. It's got a big metal washer down there in the back that it screws into. It's got a decent O-rings, lubricated pretty well. One metal tooth on the piston, second to last tooth is not removed. Now we can finish up this gearbox with the gears and bushings and whatnot. The shimming is actually pretty good. I'm really surprised. CYMA usually does a good job with their M14 shim jobs. The gun is very, very quiet when shooting. There's virtually no gear noise. It's just basically the pat, pat, pat of your gun firing, the piston head hitting the cylinder head. It has 6mm metal bushing, so that's good. That's a little bit of durability right there. The spur gear is the smaller M14 style, so if you're going to upgrade this gear set, you need to make sure it's the M14 style. It does not accept the normal version 2, version 3 spur gears. Those are a little larger than these. Overall, this gun's internals are okay. They're well tuned for what you're paying for the gun. It is pretty quiet. It's getting a little lower FPS than I'd like. So you might want to improve the air seal there, work on it some, reshim it, regrease it, all that stuff. I was pretty disappointed with the damage to the hop up and the nozzle and whatnot. That can affect feeding and FPS and air seal and just overall consistency of the gun, so I was really amazed it was doing as well as it did when I tested the gun for range and accuracy and whatnot. This gun is running for $250 at AirsoftHero.com. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Hero and Airsoft Team Kilo23. Go be the Airsoft Hero on your field.